How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the nightcap, the midnight moon. A little bit of Orion to get us started, and then I'm going to swing it around. We'll take a look at the beautiful waxing gibbous that we got, and then I'm going to crash because I am tired, y'all. Today was long. I want to come touch base with my fam. I don't know if y'all caught the stream on P&K, but that was funny. Interesting chat with Keith and Mark D'Antonio. Looking here at Orion Messier 42. You can see even here there's sharp corners, same sort of geometry happening at the Orion Nebula, curling all the way around the magnetic coil. Looks almost like Mare Imbrium. Yo, what's going on, Lumberjack and virtual reality? I'm Dunk. Yo, eat all your fish. Yo, what's going on, Rockstar? How's it going? I shoved my face after those two streams. But what's funny is Lumberjack is reminding me of this brunch place I used to go, and the Lumberjack was like a stack of pancakes with eggs and bacon and strawberry butter, and I think it was hash browns, or like you could get like fried potatoes. Really super good breakfast. So now I'm just thinking about pancakes. Thanks, Lumberjack. Even though I'm so full I couldn't eat anything. Literally now I'm craving brunch. So I'm going to do just a quick little sketch. I'm not going to pass up the opportunity, but the tracking is atrocious, but this is really the shape that's going around. Curl around the field, 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 and then going around like this. Same shape we see on the moon, same shape we see in bubbles, filaments going through the center, inertial plane. That's why this is created here. It's a pinched plasma going around, going out, going in, along a long chain. And every single one of the bright spots you see has the same structure, So all of these little bright stars are the same type of conical toroidal hyperboloid. That's how they all communicate. Yo, thanks Rockstar, appreciate it. I was pretty amped up. Yeah, remember to hit that 4K and share the video with anybody that might like it. Alright, more tunes and moon in a moment. 3 minutes to the moon. Actually, Lumberjack, nobody had wrenches. I think only Keith P&K has a wrench, and that's it. It's funny though, he was mentioning it, but really, like, there are almost no moon streams, and yeah, it's like still crazy. When I first started, I was like, oh, you know, it's gonna be like a year, and then there'll be like a dozen moon streams, and then after a while it'll be 20 and 30, and that's it, saturation. But 5 years on, same 2 moon streams. Craziness. Actually, Chris Parker was doing it for a while. I forgot. And I'm sure there are a couple of others, like there's Cosmic Surfer and Z Proxy, but they don't stream, but they post every day. And there was Beat of the Hearts, who was posting sunsets from the West Coast. A couple of people in Colorado. But yeah, super rare still, incredibly niche. Yo, what's up, biggest complainer? I am the biggest complainer. I don't know where you got that idea that you're the biggest complainer, but maybe we can share the title. Also, de-wrench is a great word. You've been de-wrenched. Dusty plasma. Alright, more tunes. Alright, let's head over to the moon and see what's going on. biggest complainer. Nope, I never activated Super Chat because they force you to sign a contract that allows them to use your like content to sell, and they also take 30 to 40% of the Super Chat. If you'd like to support the channel, please take a look at this Bandcamp link. You can grab my music, or you can like get one song and send me some money for it. But I feel like space shouldn't really have money associated with it. That's really what's wrong with it nowadays, is it's just way too much politics and way too much money involved. People are too scared to lose funding, so they won't try new ideas. What up, Relic Red Rum? I'm such an idiot. I just realized that Relic is killer. I definitely like Red Rum is always such an idiot. Murder killer. Pretty funny. It's so funny how things are right in front of you and you don't see them. But anyway, welcome. Look at this moon. It is super crispy. Is somebody trolling virtual reality? I don't know, maybe you're just drunk. Yeah, you said earlier I'm dunk. I guess that's okay, but you did spam for a second and YouTube caught it. Trying to throw money at me to buy more equipment, please. I'm happy to. Although I have some really good telescopes. I think next purchase is the next Sony camera that comes out. So this is the Sony A6 V, which is like pretty reliable 30 FPS 4K. I mean, it can do 60, but that's kind of a mess. I would probably just get the next version of that, which will be like, I don't know, $2,000. So otherwise, I got like some really beautiful telescope gear. I'm not really sure what I would buy. Maybe a laptop, so I don't speak through a guitar foot pedal. Although it's kind of so lo-fi that it's cool. It's like people do this for guitar like concert performances. They run their voice through a foot pedal. I'm doing it because of necessity. But yeah. Anyway, really ultimately you can't get better than 4K right now in terms of managing the content. Anything above that is just like insane to try and deal with the file sizes. And streaming 4K 30 FPS. Right now I'm running 20,000, basically 20 megs up right now, which is crazy. 20 meg upload, reliable, is just unbelievable, considering like where we came from. Once it gets to about 30, 40 megs up, I think you can start doing 4K 60 frames per second. But honestly, 60 doesn't really do much. It just makes it kind of like liquidy and strange. I feel like the human eye doesn't really see life in 60 frames per second. It's something like 40 or like 30 even. So anyway, this is 4K at 30 FPS, probably coming in at like 29. And I think it looks pretty damn good. It's as good as the image that I've tried to get like with current technology. So anyway, that's what I think about. That's why I don't really set up donations. If people like my music, they can buy it. And really a lot of people have dropped me a 20 or 10 for like the whole collection, and I really appreciate that. That's super nice. Just lets me get dinner or a drink while I do the stream. So I really do appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who does that. But yeah, I feel like the whole kind of having wrenches and moderators and donation buttons and super chat, like it just changes the vibe. And it also makes my channel like have to have ads. If you notice, you can come back to watch every stream. There isn't a single ad. There's no donation. There's no like that kind of vibe to it. supposed to be really pure, and in a sea of all the stuff that we have on YouTube, it's tough to maintain that. All right, peace, Lumberjack. Thanks for inspiring me to think about pancakes. Yeah, no problem, virtual reality. I didn't even know what that was. It was like a whole bunch of hourglasses. I mean, it's pertinent because I'm talking about hyperboloids and hourglass shapes, but YouTube just caught it pretty hardcore. I'm not sure. Also, lately I have a bunch of thumbs down on my videos, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I think people are just like pissed off that I don't believe in aliens or flat Earth. I'm just kidding. Or maybe it's just because I have so much conviction about this new hypothesis of this conjugate geometry, and people don't like when you have strong will. Do I have a P.O. box? I never set that up. It really, again, there's some sort of nice anonymity that I like to keep, and P.O. box becomes annoying. So if you'd like to, I actually have, TakeBackSpace at PayPal. You can, let me see, I think I have it in the description. Also, let me put some tunes. I want to play something from the newer tracks. What do I got? This is something coming up soon, and I'll get you the link to the PayPal. Yo, I did duplicate. You should go listen to me. I was talking to Mark D'Antonio and Keith about Electric Universe, and I think I set a moderately good case. It's tough because I get very excited and I throw a lot of ideas at once, so I need to learn how to slow down and articulate a little better. But it really is such an interesting kind of thread as to how the debate between contemporary mainstream science understanding and Electric Universe really is. And it's because, like, at every corner there's this interesting resistance. And I feel like once you talk about electric craters, then you have to say, well, and Mark brought this up, he said, well, Earth craters, I know are impact craters because I've visited them, I've seen them. And at the center of them you see these, transmutated elements like Libyan glass or, the stuff that Sapphire's basically finding. And it's really just trying to understand the universe through the idea of these electrical electrical impact scars. I mean, Wal Thornhill even said impact, but you can imagine it basically being zapped. So electrical arcing phenomenon is a better way to put it. But either way, the shape here, the reason I want to go live tonight, even though I'm pretty exhausted, and we got our midnight moon here, is because I want to show the geometry up on the screen and just reiterate this concept to whoever will listen. I feel like a crazy person on the corner. Anyway, go check out the thing. Maybe at some point I'll go back and talk to them about it again. But really, it doesn't matter to me whether people believe necessarily the electric universe concept or theory. It's much more interesting for me that the moon actually has hexagonal craters or octagonal or dodecahedral craters or impact scars or blisters, and that the science is just waiting for us to be done, and really doesn't matter what NASA says necessarily, or like pop mainstream science. So what if phys.org says everything is impact craters? Like, do I really care ultimately? No. And that's not because of this cult mentality of like looking at a circular crater called Copernicus in View and saying, like, I want this to be hexagonal. Like, I'm zooming in right here. I'm going to sketch right on top of the lines that I see, just so that everybody can get a look. Resistance. Well, to be fair, Mark has a lot of ideas that are very stable in terms of the way cosmology is presented, but I really wanted to bring those kind of just a couple of thoughts about the holistic sense of electric universe of empowerment. It's tough to sound like I'm not shitting on our like Carl Sagan and Einstein, but it's more about redefining science as non-idolatry. And there's also nothing wrong with religion, but at the same time, I don't know, there's something much more fun about like actual discovery in science. So I want to sketch on top of Copernicus. Yo, what's going on, Kimmy? Yeah, the holistic part of the electric universe is it allows you to embrace destruction and death as a necessitative power or fundamental structure of the universe. Without death, there's no life. Without destruction, there's no growth. Without good, there is no evil, or vice versa, or concepts of that. Because possibly, if you link it to the physical theories, that we live in a dipolar configuration right now, where it's a split filament, and we have these left and right forces, but essentially it's left and right forces that apply to the same ultimate thread. So let's just look at Copernicus and draw some lines. Look, for so many years I was sure they were perfect circles on the moon. I drew them that way and I looked at them that way. But when you start seeing, okay, we got one line, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is tough. My tracking is pretty atrocious tonight because tracking just to the moon is not good, and tracking just to Orion is not good. But because they're opposing tonight, for some reason, it wasn't allowing me to sync to Orion and the moon. But let's try this and see if I can't keep it steady. So what's going on here? Damn, so bad. Let's see if I can do it quick. Anyway, these angles appear because they're hitting boundary layers over here, hitting boundaries, and forcing itself, this blister. And we were talking about it in terms of having water. And yeah, I definitely believe that these blisters on the surface of the moon needed water in order to create these shapes. However, how were they formed initially? Were they formed by an impact or a giant electrical discharge between planetary bodies? That's really the fundamental question. Kind of makes me want to reset the tracking on the scope just to get this done right. All right, hit me up in the chat. Let me know if I need to set the scope or whether you can see the octagonal nature of Copernicus and the sharp walls and then the bullseye crater, and how really this can only be formed in one way, and it's certainly not perfectly circular. It's just one of those events where like your eye is filling in the rest of it in order to make it a circle. But even these small ones, if you really follow it, you'll see it's like stretched orthogonal polygons. Almost everything actually has sharper corners than a perfect circle. Let's go to something that's a little bit more defined as well, like Ptolemaeus, and I was mentioning even Sinus Iridum. But what I'd like to show actually is how the Apennine mountain range looks so much like the Orion Nebula. It's an uncanny resemblance. I know why it's like that, but it's insane that it is, because essentially they're growing along the same filamentary structure, the donut, and they're trying to twist. And what happens is, let me zoom out and I'll talk about it. Got this song going for a sec. With a midnight moon, with the riders of the midnight moon, riders of the midnight moon, we be riders of the midnight moon. You know it, Saturday coming in strong. So it's tough to illustrate, but I'm really just putting together all this material finally, and I will make a proper video about all of it. But maybe you can let me know in the chat. So if you see right in the middle of the screen, the kind of curving around, this really like mimics the shape of M42 nebula. Actually, you know, let me see if I can download this image and do an overlay real quick. Virtual reality says, does space-time and electric bond between matter very important as attractor and retractor? So if we get rid of space-time as Einstein defined it, like as a fabric, because it's only necessary to do that to do the math, right? So if you get rid of time as a thing and say time is like a shadow, so it's the absence, like a shadow is the absence of life, of light, not life. Time is a measure of magnitude or pattern. And then space is what we're in. And space is not empty. So if we get rid of space-time, then we realize like we're inside space, and then the patterns that emerge in space can have an awareness of moving through space, and we give that movement a name called time. And time has a fall-off. In the same way there's the donut shape, the plasmoid. There's time appears as the now, right in the center of the donut, and as it moves outwards, it experiences a time dilation. That's what time dilation is, when they leave Earth and the clocks run slower. They don't necessarily run slower, they just exist in a different part of really a magnetic flux. Reality just basically changes in space. Certain attributes of reality just change. I mean, that's the whole idea of like a planet having different gravity. They say it all the time, right? Mainstream is like, Earth has 1/4 the gravity of Moon. And people just don't consider what those implications mean. So, what was I doing? I was doing the M42 overlay. What's up, Wingsley? Let's get a track going, and I want to see if I can overlay this thing. Just bear with me. This is just like pure madness. Let me show you this thing. Alright. So, I mean, I'm almost not surprised, but yeah, you tell me what you see over here. But I see geometry that exists at all scales. I mean, what? I'm just going to leave this up for a second. Obviously, it's not the exact same thing, but it's like this. It really is so crazily similar. Throw me an opinion in the chat room. Tell me I'm crazy, or tell me if you think it looks like the same phenomenon. What's sad is that I can't adjust the opacity of this image. That's so silly. But I'll show you what I think it is with sketch time. So, let's see. And so this is Mari Imbrium. And this is definitely rounder, but what's going on is it's hitting this, going this is where the first kink happens, and then sinus iridum, and then right here you're definitely seeing some of the pentagonal shape. That's Sea of Serenity. So I feel like this is happening. Right? There's this shape. And then there's these kind of towers. What I was really pointing at is this kind of tower right here with a star at the point. That's why, where's the image? Like this tower, the tip right there, and the curl around. I mean, it just feels like this is the type of shape that's happening. And there's a filament going through it that way, and then things are forming along this dielectric inertial plane. Yo, what's going on, Januli Ann? So I think this is why it looks the same. It's the same type of symmetrical geometry. Pinching, right? So these are pinches right here. That's a pinch right here. And every single one of the stars is also this geometry. And so it's, and what I haven't been, well, I should just start doing it as well. So at the center of this point, because all the energy is going in and out through the center node point, it's creating plasma shells. This is where all the information is stored. This is why apples don't grow into each other. This is what spheres of influence are. This is all the memories that are stored. Every single node, star, human, galaxy, dot, speck has the same etheric plasma shape. And that's why the interaction in the universe is like these bubbles kind of connecting. This is why things like telepathy and spooky action at a distance all actually work. It's like, this is the fundamental structure of it. Look, it also looks like spider webs and spider abdomens. It also looks like the mouth of a cheetah and human eyeballs and owl eyes. Old school, drop in the remote. You're telling me they have like, they went to the moon and they can't give me a freaking wireless remote for the telescope? Literally, they don't make a wireless remote for a telescope. Just pure insanity. It's this like old ASCII, ASCOM, 8-bit, like 32 pin. Like, it's just the most insanely old technology for the most advanced possible science. All right, let me hide this image. Let me hide this paint and get back to our moon. So nice and sharp tonight. Virtual Reality says, so we shouldn't try and predict space collisions. Well, I don't know exactly if things collide in space, but I definitely feel like there are far less collisions than thought to be in popular science. All the proof actually shows electrical interaction. Even like tonight, I was we were debating, like Mark Antonio, just about Mark D'Antonio about impact craters on Earth. And where I would keep going with that discussion is that besides saying the word impact and crater, like these are just features on Earth, and they have a shape and they have evidence. But, you know, they were deemed impact craters by a certain person and or a group, and it was agreed upon at a certain point that they were impact craters. But the evidence shows really this thing called transmutation of elements, hexagonal or pentagonal or square shapes, sharp walls, and then we're getting into dating and how it's, that science dates things to an age like 100 million years, 5 billion years. But I would take that to a place where if you study a little bit, if you can get past all the videos about what's his name, Kent Hovind, who's the evangelical, and talking about how the Earth is really 6,000-7,000 years old. Nothing wrong with that. Actually, he asks some really pertinent questions, especially about carbon dating. And so there's this weird crossover between Christian evangelicals who want to prove, the Bible or certain biblical stories to be perfect fact. However, within an electric universe, in a way, it allows for that. And the holistic look at electric universe allows for aliens, and it allows for death and destruction, and it allows for life. It allows for everything to exist for a reason, and that's why it's so compelling. It's not because it's like, I don't know. I don't even know what it's not. I just know what it is, which is looking at the moon and making sense of why the shapes are what they are, instead of just saying, wow, those shapes are interesting, and then never getting further than that. Is it ASCII? I don't know what it is. It's like, the old telephone cables. I really should know because I've been in tech forever, but it's really those, like an analog phone cable that connects the remote, and it's also the curly wire from the old analog phones that I've rigged to have a phone connection and an extension. Otherwise it would be like madness to run the remote that close to the scope. But worse than that, it's just because of the coil wire and because the shape of the remote is curved, it doesn't sit flat on a surface, and it's always pulling away from me. So unless I flip it upside down or hold it the whole time, it slides off the table and makes the loudest noise at 2 in the morning. Well, even though it's only midnight here. But typically for years, if y'all have followed me, you'll know that this remote has been the bane of my freaking existence. Especially because you have to just wrangle with it every time. And it only fails slightly less hard than the tiny remote that I use for the camera, which, while amazing because at least it's wireless, it's IR, so I have to be in sight of the camera, and the IR on the Sony is in the front of the camera, which is facing away from me when I scope. It's just beyond the most frustrating setup imaginable. But the reward is so great that I have to keep going. That's what's so crazy. It's so annoying, and then YouTube changing its whole interface, unbelievable. But at every turn, I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna show this damn thing. I gotta sneeze. Oh, so I was gonna answer, so we shouldn't try and predict space collisions. Well, I'm kind of the mind that since we exist, and since we don't not exist, that things are pretty perfect. So you could save the world, or you could not save the world. Both are valid. Now, do I want to save the world? In my way, but if that's what you're asking. And the other one is predicting space collisions, is living in this kind of terrorized hypothetical future of trying to be just waiting for the day that everything ends. instead of living in the center of the hyperboloid. It's actually interesting if you think about catastrophism and or fanatical historism, people who claim, who basically live in the past or live in the future. This is the same geometry, really. Culture and emotions and thoughts exist along the same conjugate reality, and that's really incredible. Which song do I want to play? I'm going to find a song I haven't played in a long time. I bet you even Ellie is going to be surprised. Mary, what's going on? This is the fall. Let it go. Don't let it go. Don't let it go. This is the fall. Let it go. Don't let it go. Don't let it go. This is the fall. Let it go. Don't let it go. All right, that was a super old one. What's going on, Mary? Nice to see ya. I got an... Alright, now that I have this whole image thing figured out, I'm just gonna show you all this. I've been saying snow leopard for a few days, so let me show you what that means. So, check out this kitty, and I'll show you something amazing. I'm sure you're already noticing, but if you look at the moon to the right, Sea of Serenity, to the left, Sea of Tranquility, right? Yep. And it looks basically like the mouth of this beautiful snow leopard. And I'm just getting this drawing program together. All right, so I'll just point it out and see what you think. Right here is the chalice, or squatter man. And this is the meeting of the two hexagons that I've been showing. And essentially it's the same formation right here. It's the same exact reason that the moon looks like this. That's the same reason this cat looks like that. And essentially a Birkeland filament pinches this cat into existence along a twisting filament. The same reason this also looks like a phallus. And just drawing on a kitty. But really, this is what's amazing to me. Alright, and this is an image from Thunderbolts Project of Squatter Man. And so you can see where Squatter Man basically up here. Sorry, I say a lot. I gotta stop saying This is an image from Thunderbolts, and you can see that at the top, actually what I want to do is keep this, but erase it. So this is in the laboratory, plasma, and essentially it's being stretched, but this is the donut, and this is the in-out flux, and it's creating basically that shape. And then the squatter man, these are from symbols, and these are what ancient aliens used to have spooky music behind it. Here, let's do the spooky music thing. Let's see. I know I have one of those tracks. It's called Orchestral Synthesis. I wrote this track to be spooky on purpose. I was doing some sound tracking. So let's look at these figures and just do the alien thing. Could it have been that we were visited in the past? Ooh. Sorry. All right, so this is the stuff they used to really show on Ancient Aliens, speaking of which, and they would cue creepy music, and they'd be like, were we visited by people, the Anunnaki? And then, Georgios Tsoukalos would be like, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. Anyway, so definitely not aliens. This really much more is the formation of plasma filaments along a Birkeland current. And that's what's really amazing, is that it's found in all places in the universe. So let's mute that image for a second. Did it get dark, or is the moon setting? Maybe there are clouds. Something going on. It's gotten real fuzzy. But anyway, plasma formations are the same as crater formations, are the same as, ooh, here we go. Get some sugar molecules up here, and then get this track going a little bit longer. Come on, let me save this. This weird new image format, WebP, is so stupid. Come on. Come on, sugar. This is the craziest. I feel like no one's ever mentioned this one before, but give me 1 second. You'll really like this one. You'd think it would be easy enough to find the image of a sugar molecule and save it, but it's not that easy. Actually, this is caffeine. All right, let's just do caffeine. This is just crazy. So where is this? I've realized that the moon is actually going very far west, so the house is actually getting in the way and creating some dimness. I don't know. Maybe it's time to call the stream, but I'm still going here. Let me just quickly show you this sugar molecule, or caffeine molecule, and you can see how crazy the connection is. I mean, that's essentially what's going on. It's definitely very dim. I mean, I could move the scope, but I think I'm not going to. I'll do it on another stream, but this is essentially this type of shape. It's pretty insane. And it happens over here as well. Same, it looks like an abdomen, it looks like a head and a neck and a torso. It's basically pinches, rarefactions and compressions, creating everything that we see and everything that we are. And y'all are awesome, and it's a good sign. I'm gonna call it a night. I'm exhausted, but that was real fun and real science for your eyeballs and earballs. What's going on, astronomy live stream? What's happening? But you can see what I mean. Sea of Serenity, Sea of Tranquility. I've drawn it much more accurately, but it's really a hexagon on top of a pentagon. Looks just like this molecule, like sugar, or any molecule. The way we denote it looks just like a series of these craters. I mean, or mares, that's just madness. And nobody ever talks about it. Really, I've looked at everywhere. I was just like, before I say this, let me make sure that no one's talked about this. But this is really what's going on. The snow leopard, the chalice, the Star of David, the Merkaba, the toroidal plasmoid, the conjugate geometry, all of it is the same shape. It's the bridge between your eyeballs. Go look in the mirror and you'll see the mouth of the snow leopard, and you'll see the shape of the squatter man, and your eyeballs essentially form on the dielectric inertial plane in the center of the tube of the torus. It's unbelievable. Like, you are it, and it is you, and I'm gonna call it a night. So thanks everybody. Hope you have a great day. And got a little surprise for y'all on Sunday. I'm gonna do an interview with somebody from the Electric View, and I'll either do it live during the day. Just keep an eye out for a stream on Sunday. But I'll definitely be around tomorrow or today. Take care, Ellie Wynn and Mary Quite. and David, and Duplicat, and Januli Ann, and Kimmy, and Virtual Reality. And Light Moon, and Lumberjack, and Relic Red Rum, and Rockstar, and Keith, and Mark D'Antonio tonight. Thanks for having me. And thanks for listening to me rant about all these wild ideas. Sleep well, everybody. I'll catch you real soon. Good night.